We're good? I'm going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, December 6, 2022 at 7 p.m. Will you please all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thank you. Tonight's invocation is by Mr. Jacob King from the Eagle Christian Church. Appreciate you for coming up here. And is that on green right there? Is that on?
It is.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Now let's pray. Father God, we thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your grace and your love for us. God, we invite you into our lives, into the city, this meeting, to give wisdom, to give leadership, guidance, and knowledge. God, help us to acknowledge you, to follow you, and please help us to lead this city in the right way. God, please give these city council members wisdom of what to do and how to lead the people of Star well. Help us to love each other and to love you. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Roll call.
Kevin Wheelock.
Here.
Jennifer Salmonson.
Here.
Kevin Nielsen.
Present.
Trevor Chadwick.
Here.
David Hershey is excused.
Dave Hershey is excused. His job called him out for the week. All right. We are moving on to item 4, the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman,
I move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of item 4A, findings of fact for Glendora subdivision. Item 4B, findings of fact for the Saunders subdivision. Item 5C, findings of fact for West Chelsea annexation. And item 4D, approval of claims provided and previously approved.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Okay, that motion carries. On to item 5A, we are moving on to the ordinance 374-2022, the Barron Properties Rezone and Development Agreement. We need to suspend or introduce it and suspend of the rules.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move to introduce ordinance 374-2022 Barron Properties Rezone and Development Agreements and pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902. The rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 374-2022 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On to item 5B, the equipment lease purchase agreement. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we do want to adopt the ordinance. Sorry about that. We need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman.
I move that we approve ordinance number 374-2022, the Barron Properties Rezone and Development
John, can you
Agreement.
pull-
An ordinance rezoning certain real property located in the city of Star, Ada County, Idaho. More specifically, located at 342 South Calhoun Place in Star, Idaho. Ada County parcels S0416120900. The property is owned by BPS Calhoun Com LLC, establishing the zoning classification of the rezoned property as commercial with a development agreement C-2-DA of approximately 11.38 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Okay, that motion carries. All right. Now we can move on to item 5B, the equipment lease purchase agreement. I have Chief Greg Kaminsky, if you just want to come and just talk about this real quick from the fire department. And Sean, if you go to the meeting thing and click on the other one, we could click right on the agreement so people can look at it. We're trying something new, guys, on here this meeting on the right side. There you go, and click on the equipment lease there, at least it's up. So I'll just have Greg explain this real quick. The fire commission already approved this agreement.
Yeah, I'm Greg Tominski with Star Fire District. This is the truck that the city of Star has purchased through ARPA funds for the fire district. And to make this official, we had to do a lease. So we have a lease of $1 a year for 2 years, and then it's purchased by the fire district after that. And I don't know if you have any questions about it. It's a very simple lease. The need was for the buildings that are being purchased or built in Star, the 3-story apartments. They require a different apparatus than what we normally had to keep our ISO rating. ISO rating is our insurance rating. And so to keep it at a 3, we needed to add this piece of equipment, and it just worked under the use of ARPA funds to the city. So it's another great partnership with the fire district and the city of Star.
Yep. Any questions of chief? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the equipment lease purchase agreement and authorize me to sign it.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman,
Yeah, so I've reviewed the agreement and support it. I move that we approve the equipment lease purchase agreement between the city of Star and Star Fire Protection District for the ladder truck.
okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second by
Second.
Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. I will get that signed and taken care of. We're on to item 6A. The public hearing for the Colt Heights subdivision is actually being tabled to January 3rd, 2023. Sean, or we have to make a motion to table it again, correct? So we'll entertain a motion to table this until January 3rd, 2023.
Mayor,
Councilman Wheelock,
I'd like to make a motion to table the Colt Heights subdivision till January 3rd, 2023.
okay, we got a motion and a second, or do we have a second?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I'd second the motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. That will be tabled and will be heard on January 3rd. On to item 6B, we're on to the public hearing for the Gary and Terry Opper annexation. Just so everybody's aware, it's a public hearing. I'm just read a few rules here about a public hearing. If you want to speak towards this, you need to sign up on the sign up sheet for that. I will open the public hearing and I'll ask the council if there's any ex parte contact or communication. The applicant can have up to 20 minutes to speak to the project. And then we'll have people that wish to speak for, against, or neither for or against the project. And the council can ask any individual speaking follow-up questions, doesn't count towards the 3 minutes. The applicant has a chance to rebut, and then I'll close the public hearing. The council will deliberate to either make a motion to approve with conditions, deny, or table the application to a date certain in the future. It is 7:09, and I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
None.
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 Okay, hearing none, I will have the applicant come up. Whoever's speaking, are you speaking, Mr. Gary? Yes. Okay, state your name and address for the record. and the floor is yours.
Gary Opper, 3130 North Canada Road, Star Island.
Okay,
Well, it's pretty straightforward.
so just tell them what you're doing with an annexation and whatnot. I got to change my experiment.
Well, what it is I can't do it through the county. I have 2 lots there. It's kind of a weird setup with boundaries and stuff. So what I'd like to do is, eventually is just redraw the boundaries around the house in the garage and make that 1 lot, and then the other lot around there, a separate lot to where maybe eventually down the road I can build on. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it.
Okay. Anybody on council have a question of Mr. Gary? Any staff comments or anything?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
the boundaries that are drawn on the map, are these the boundaries that are current or the boundaries that
Right
you're
here?
seeking?
Yes, those are the current ones. You can see it goes through the part of the barn there and down. We're moving it back towards the driveway and north to take in the garage and stuff and make that 1 lot. And it'll be a little bit, hopefully bigger than what it is there, not by much, but it just makes it, more conducive to the way this thing is laid out.
Do we have a drawing of what the proposed new boundaries are?
I believe Sean's got one.
Let's wait for Mr. Sean.
That's the old one. Yeah, you've got one.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong though, but we're doing an annexation with the DA, right? In a zone, but you're being administrative.
The staff
Yeah.
would process an administrative lot line adjustment to take the existing lot lines and configure them with a regular survey.
Which I think you've got.
We do
all-
have
Right.
that, but we're waiting for the annexation application to be approved. You would have to meet all new setback requirements and everything from existing buildings, and submitted that application.
Would it be is this a good time to ask questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Would it be a shared driveway? Would you have to create a new entrance halfway up that hill in the blind spots of that hill?
Yeah, it's already a bad entrance.
It's a
Yeah,
bad place to
it's-
put
I mean,
another
they've taken
entrance.
Fence, my mailbox.
Yeah, I'm
I take
sure.
my life in my hand just going to the mailbox.
Yeah.
For now, it's on our boundary adjustment drawing of where we might put one. If I sell that, I own both those properties. If I sell the home in the garage, which is not in my plans right now, that's going to stay there. It's just going to have something to where if I get to a point where I want to sell it, I can sell something that people would purchase. I'm going to leave the driveway the way it is. It should meet all fire specs and everything else. If I end up selling that lot, on our drawing, I've got a proposed driveway that's going to be a little bit south of that. So it's a little, safer. And then it'll go back around and access both lots, but it'd be one.
One driveway would.
One
it
driveway.
Might move, but it's still a shared drive.
Yes, exactly.
That's important to me.
Yes, yes. It'll be one driveway to access both lots.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
so concerning the driveway, it looks like that extends onto another lot as well. Do you provide access to a third lot that's not noted on here?
No, there's only 2 lots there.
Just only those 2? And
Yeah.
and the road that extends north of that, where does that go
Oh,
to?
up behind that's the canal, the easement for the canal.
I think he's referring
that
to the
one?
shed that's all the way up against the north property line.
Okay. Yeah, that's the driveway, right? No, that's
That's what I'm referring to.
okay. Yeah, no, that's just the easement for the canal goes clean on up. There's no access to anything but the canal.
So is there an easement on your property for access to that canal
Yes.
then?
Yeah.
So that'll be maintained,
Yes, nothing changes there.
and that is the access for both lots as well, right?
No,
No,
That
the
is
access is down South.
Down south, okay.
Yeah,
The
right there.
driveway right there is the access to those two.
Got
lots.
it.
Nobody, we don't want anybody up on that canal road.
Yeah.
We've got posted signs, no trespassing, even though my property goes, they've got an easement through it and stuff, but yeah, it's not to access the property.
And so as you're not subdividing further, you're just redrawing lot lines.
That's it.
Thank you. That's all.
I have no desire to develop it. I'm trying to keep some elbow room.
Any further questions of Mr. Gary? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll move on to public comments. We have Ms. Sue Drayton. And please state your name and address for the record.
Sue Drayton, 12470 West Able Drive in Star.
Go ahead.
So I don't want to say we necessarily oppose it. We have a lot of concerns about this because of the designation of R1. I mean, I understand the need for, or the, desire to want to get that all into one lot, but the potential is there then for that property to be sold and to stick 5 houses instead of 1 house on that property. And like you guys already talked about that road, having 5 homes worth of people driving in and out of that part of the road is, that's a sketchy part of the road. I watch people all the time. I sit at the bottom of the hill and I wait for people in the winter to slide off and slide down and get out of the way. And it's a big concern to have that potential. Maybe, he might not intend to sell it now, but we have some serious concerns about that rezoning and the possibility of being able to build 5 properties on that one spot, in addition to concerns with the water tables and being so close to the canal with the, any kind of septic stuff they want to put in if it's not on sewer and water. We have agricultural water rights that we're constantly aware of and fighting for up there on Able. And we've got concerns about the water table with another additional 5 house potential, or an additional 4 homes going in there. It's just a huge concern for us to have that potential sitting there because there's nothing, the property was for sale a few months ago. So the intention for that we see is that the property was, they were wanting to sell the property and ran into a problem. And then now it could potentially and probably likely would be bought up by a developer who does want to build 5 homes on that area.
Okay. Is that
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a lot of concerns about like the whole impact of the building up there and stuff and the wildlife
Sure.
and all the damage it's done to our property with, everything is moving in to our properties over there and we're losing animals left and right. Any kind of small livestock that we have is now fodder for raccoons, coyotes, foxes, everything's coming in because of all the stuff that was done on Thunder Ridge. So additional building just keeps driving that wildlife into the areas where they can find food. And so that the biggest concern is the traffic and the water for us.
very good? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Gary. Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. You have an opportunity if you want to come and rebut, talk about that.
Well, I don't know how long you've been up.
You got to talk on the microphone though. You got to talk on the microphone.
Than where we're at this point. So, I have no intention. The place was for sale for about 2 weeks. Because that's, we figured we can get a lot of money for the place, which, we probably could, but we decided we can't find dirt where we want to go. So we're going to develop and build a house on that other 3.77 acres, which it'll eventually be. And the other house will stay the same. There's no intention. If I sell it, it's not going to be sold as a development. If somebody wants to buy it as a development, I can't do anything about that, but that is not the intention. That's not what we're going to do.
All right, any questions of Mr. Gary before we have him sit down?
Yeah.
Hang on, Mr. Gary. You gotta
Yeah,
come back. Hey, Gary, got to have you come back up because the council, I think, has a question.
Yeah, thank you. So considering the intent that you've just shared with us,
Right.
Can we put in the development agreement that 3.7 so on acres will be for a single house only, that this?
Well, I don't know that I want to, limit. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That is not my plan. I met with the builder the other day to look at the corner right down there next to my shop to put my home. I don't want neighbors. The only reason I'm doing 1 acre is I was kind of advised that's what that whole area is. I'm just getting annexed into the city so that I can do what I would like to do with my own property. It's, I have no desire, or I'm not planning on.
Sure, I get that. So
So you want me to sign something on the development agreement that will never be built on more than one home? That kind of limits.
never is a long time, but what it
Yeah.
would do is a future owner of that property would then have to come back and seek to amend
That's fine with
that
me.
development.
That would be
agreement.
fine with me. Yeah, I have no problem there.
Okay, thank you.
You want to, anything, Sean?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, any subdivision would require new public hearing. You have to come back before you. I would advise against a condition in the development agreement. The comprehensive plan actually would allow 10 lots on this property. So that would be a staff's recommendation. But you can do what you want.
Okay. Any further questions of staff?
I'd just like to explore some reasoning. I mean, if he's willing to do that, why wouldn't we? And what's your recommendation based on if they have to come back anyway?
Mr. Mayor and council member, I think he just said he didn't want to limit his future property. What I'm stating is, and for the neighbor who's concerned, any future development would have to come back before council for approval and review, and the staff would review it for access and all that. So it's just when you put a condition on a development agreement, then it has to be renegotiated between the city and the developer.
Sure.
So I mean, you can do whatever.
Yeah,
You decide.
I guess I'm looking at those processes as equal.
Yeah,
Does it really
could be.
matter?
I think it gives a negative look in the future for the neighbors around there. If you see a development agreement that says you can't develop that property, and then a new developer comes in and asks for that, I think it'd be harder for a council, this council or a future council, to possibly change their mind if you limit that.
Yeah, and I think I'd agree with that. And this is, maybe something for the applicant that, one of the things that we run into as a council on a pretty regular basis is somebody who comes in and says, well, look, my property's not going to develop in the future. I'm going to be here for as long as I can foresee. I'm not going to sell to a developer. And then as development comes in around them, then, that intent is great. But unless there's a legal instrument that says this property is in a land trust, or this property has a development agreement, or something that says this property really won't develop in the foreseen future, that creates an environment where the council can make a different decision, or at least further add conditions on the property that's developing around them. So if your intent is to have elbow room and your intent is to remain rural, then I would recommend that we put some sort of legal instruction in the development agreement. But I'll leave that up to you here tonight.
So Gary, hang on. You can't talk from there. You got to talk from up here. So you come back up here because we haven't closed it yet. You just got to speak from the microphone.
I don't have my attorney with me or anything to advise me on what I should say here. It is no intention whatsoever for me to develop it. That is not what we're doing. I am trying to make it to where it's representative of the way it's set up with 2 different lots there. My purpose is in about a year to start building in that back corner and eventually lease the other home out and keep the same driveway and everything else because my costs stay down. I have no desire to do anything with the rest of the property. If I'm going to sign something that says that's never going to happen and that's going to deter somebody from purchasing the property, I don't know that that's a wise decision, but it's not my intent and I'm not going anywhere,
For me, I don't think it's wise that we put something in a DA that potentially provides a devaluation of somebody's property in the future from somebody wanting to buy it. I think if we have the mechanisms in place that they have to bring back a subdivision ordinance or whatever, or a plat to try to get more lots in there. Plus, I don't know what I think this is a hillside too. I don't know
Yeah.
what the developers are anyway. Right? We may not even be able to develop on that because of our code, the way it's written with 25% slopes and stuff like that. So that to me concerns me to throw that in there,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
it seems to me crazy to limit it because here we are as a council trying to have property rights. And at the same time, we want to be safe. A subdivision, if that's the case later down the road, would still have to answer all those questions for that hill. It's in a steep enough position that all those safety concerns are going to be addressed before it's ever a second house on that property. Not a single house, but a second house. And I think that's all going to take care of itself. To limit him at this point would not make sense to me. So that's where I stand if I had any counsel for you.
Okay.
It's your choice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hurt, whatever you're wanting to do. I don't think we need to do that.
Just to be clear, I'm not wanting to do anything. We're just talking about options.
Okay. Any further questions of Mr. Gary? Hang on, Gary. You can't sit down yet. This is the most you stand up in front of people.
Gee.
Just want to make sure everybody.
I wasn't thinking this was gonna be that big of a deal,
Yeah.
really.
Any further questions of Mr. Gary before we have him sit down? Okay, now you can sit down, Gary. Thank you. All right. Any further questions of staff? Okay, it's 7:26 and I'm going to close the public hearing and move to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
this seems like a pretty straightforward, almost administrative application. Details for what ultimately happens on this will come at a later date. And I'm in support of the applicant being able to redraw his current property lines. So I move that we approve the application for annexation and rezoning with the development agreement.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a motion second. Any further comments?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
Can we add in the DA though? I believe they will need to pay the ITD proportionate share fee. So can we make sure that that gets put into the DA?
Yep. Standard for all of our.
I believe that is standard, is it
all of
not?
our-
Do we need to include that?
Application,
You'd have to include it in the development agreement.
Right.
All right, I'll amend the motion to include the ITD proportionate share in the development agreement.
Okay, you gonna amend your second?
A second,
We have a motion and a second by Councilwoman Thomason. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
I,
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, very good. So that motion carries. Thank you, Gary. Welcome to Star. Not that you haven't been around the Star for 20 years, but you're officially in the city limits of Star. All right, you can vote now. That's right. So we are on the item 7, adjournment. Chris, should I just make a mention of that real quick? Of the thing, I just want to let people know that there was a lawsuit between the Middleton and Star regarding the area of impact from Canada Road to Kingsbury. That lawsuit, Middleton has dropped because of the election results where folks decided they wanted to be in Star and not Middleton on there. So just want to let everybody know. With that said, it is 7:28 and we are